Welcome back to the ASL. We've had some pretty short games so far tonight. Yeah. There is mid game in Brood War. There is late game, but it seems like whether it's the builds they're choosing or two players being completely outclassed, or one player completely outclassing the other one, I should say. Hopefully this next game will go on longer, but I don't know. I mean,
no, I think that this one
versus Larva. Last is so good right now.
Yeah, and Larva is not even someone you think of for ZVT.
Yeah.
So it's a tough one. Yeah, it's a 4-player map, so it's going to be longer in some ways.
Sure.
You might be able to sneak that third in a bit better because there's a lot of places you could put it. Might be some sort of meta game on where he wants to, hide his third base. Yeah. But again, are you going to open Spire against Last? I don't think so. I have to go back to let's see something like Lurker Ling, possibly something really cheesy like a Ling Burrow, but this is
too experienced to ever die to. I think 2-hatch Muta. I don't think that's possible to beat Last with.
I don't think anyone dies to 2-hatch Muta right now. Maybe if the Brood War scene gets to such a place where kids can practice for 8 hours a day on Muta maps, maybe we'll see people die to 2-hatch Muta again. I don't know.
All right, guys, we're getting ready to go into our third best of one. This match will decide who is going to be tonight's first survivor of the ASL.
Yes. Will Larva be able to overcome the crazy force that is Last? Last hasn't been able to really show his top skill against the returning crowd of top-end pro gamers, but his actual skill is there. He is as good or better than the players like Bisu, Stork, Jade on Flash. He is up at that level.
He may, in fact, be better.
Yeah, I think he's better than a few of them, for sure. He is really, really legit. But, this is his first step. Get through these guys and then see if he can maybe make a stand this season with his skill.
Larva, he was rushed with a very weird build that we saw there from Movie. I don't know if it was the best build to choose, but I think Movie thought he would just outmaneuver him strategically, catch Larva off guard, but Larva responded perfectly, countered with slowlings, which sounds silly, but that's actually a great way to defeat that build that he did back there, and overran him. But we haven't seen Larva in proper mid-game. Larva, by the way, today is sick. He is ill. So we don't really know how his condition's going to be in a long uphill fight in a macro game.
Yeah, will he even really want it to go to that macro game? The thing is, there's not a great way to bust through a Terran. If a Terran makes 2 bunkers, you just kind of don't kill him. So yeah, that's where we stand here. Last can force himself into that later game situation.
Perhaps we'll have something like a 4-pull or a 5-pull to come up there and try to get the barracks if it's being made at the hundreds. I mean, I don't know. I guess it is a bigger map, though. I don't know. It's very tough when you get a Terran that's so solid, whether it's Flash or Last, to try to figure out, okay, well, where do you really kill these guys? Because if you try to do anything risky at the start and you screw up, you're really going to lose. But going up head-to-head, that's a tall order as well.
Well, I would like to see the same play as Hyun, but maybe hit the first bunker and then run. You do not want to overcommit there and lose too many lurkers.
All right, well, let's see what happens. This is game number 3 now. A best of one, a ZVT, Last versus Larva. In the upper right, in the purple, our Terran player Last. In the bottom left, in the blue, our Zerg player Larva.
All right, we get to see what he wants to go for here.
Thanks for coming down, guys. Hope you're enjoying the games. These games have been really short, Artosis. I think this one could be a longer one just due to the starting locations here.
Yeah, that definitely can help out quite a bit. I would love to see Larva hold on and be able to actually give us a nice macro game, maybe get into that late game situation where you have defilers popping out everywhere. But getting to that point as Zerg is probably the hardest thing in ZVT right now.
I would say so.
It's kind of funny because these Terrans have become so good with this 4 or 5 Rax Marine walking around the map, and it's like, just to live to 3-base Defiler with Nidus is quite a chore in and of itself.
Yeah, the Zerg have this very tricky part of the game where they have to get a Defiler. Like, you could not beat Terran if you did not have the Defiler.
That's very true.
And the Defiler, of course, with Dark Swarm, being able to cast a net where nothing underneath it can be hit by ranged attacks. Splash damage, of course, is okay. But if they can get that up and then push the momentum back towards the Terran, it seems like, especially in the current meta, Terrans decide it's actually better to completely swap tech and switch into mech from there instead of trying to fight an uphill fight of mass marine science vessel, maybe some tanks incorporated in there.
Yeah. Gets so tough against a lot of Defilers to make bio actually end up working out. You know, it's not just Dark Swarm, especially if it gets later.
Yeah.
Plague is so scary because not only will it make all your units have 1 health, it'll drain all of your medics of their energy. Like, it can be a pain. So, you know, that very late game situation, Zerg can definitely fight well against Terran and on at least equal footing. But in the current metagame that we have and the current skill level of these players, man, Terran is, especially a Terran like Last or a Terran like Flash that doesn't miss a beat, spends every last mineral on their Marines and gets their upgrades on time and doesn't miss their depots. Damn, it's hard to stop them.
Lings are now coming out. It looks like this SCV is going to be able to come in here and do some scouting. Note he immediately whips around upon spotting the hatchery. He may want to try to hide that elsewhere. No, excuse me. He's actually going to send that SCV back in.
Yeah.
What I think he's realized is because these Lings are nowhere to be seen, there's a chance that, in fact, Larva's going to try to come in here and surprise him, and that's exactly what he has in store here. This many Lings, if the Terran isn't completely ready, the game can snowball out of control. I believe there are 3 SCVs at the ramp.
There should be 3. Yeah, okay, there you go. It's exactly 3 and 2 Marines behind, so should be able to hold on pretty well. You can target down the SCVs. Great pull right there.
Whoa.
And he kind of gets on top of the Marines, but there's enough SCVs pulled that it's not going to really do too much. That was a perfect hold from Last, basically.
Yeah. Very good job by him. He had the SCV selected in the front when it took some damage, immediately right-click through onto his minerals to pull that there. Really, really nicely done. But I got to say, I'm a little bit worried now. That was not a great opener for Larva. I mean, trading in 6 Lings
for some lost mining time.
Yeah,
that's
and to
it.
kill like 1 or 2 Marines, which really isn't that impactful.
Yeah, no, it's really not.
And of course, the Zerg do need to make Lings to, for instance, chase out the SCV. So this might all seem like small potatoes, but it's actually a pretty big deal in Brood War.
And this kind of gives so much intel. Notice this game. Hold on. Yeah, okay. So notice this game. He's going for the gas in the Academy right now. His SCV is in the base. It sees 3 hatches, late gas. He's already killed 6 Lings. He can get his +1, his stim, his marine range, all that stuff before he even adds his barracks. So Last macro is going to get even more off the hook. He's going to get his upgrades in a great time and just, you know, explode with the barracks in the bio.
So the layer's coming up here now. When the layer's done, we'll have a very clear idea of what Zerg wants to do. But for the time being, he's already just putting some pressure on with these few Marines while he's about to land his command center over here at his second base.
Very well done. Does the little pokes. Sometimes you'll kill a Zergling off there. And then as long as you turn right around home, then you're going to be able to stop the Lings from really doing any damage because they have to run around your Marines. So notice how they're getting back basically the same time. You really see the precision in Last play. He really understands every single decision he's making here. Just very well executed.
There's that, I saw this quote somewhere on the internet, but it was that watching 2 players of different skill level in Brood War can be like watching a fencer versus an unarmed street thug. Yeah. That it just seems so one-sided where one person is so graceful and completely outmaneuvers them, and the other one looks like they never stood a chance.
Yeah. And that really is the case. Like when you get differentiating levels of skill in StarCraft 1, it's part of the reason why we can do best of ones here because the mechanics just separate you so much. And this isn't like, for instance, if this was like, you know, StarCraft 2, it's like more about the strategical choices that you make, right? So like, for instance, you could do a Baneling bust here and just really risk it on that, or a Ravager all in.
Yeah, and it's easier to do that a little bit more perfectly. Whereas to do anything perfectly in Brood War is kind of impossible.
So, like, just, you know, defending the early Ling Rush, that was, like, that was the variance in it. And he knew how to do it. He knew what he was scouting. He had the 3 SCVs, and it's like, bam, okay, that's held. And now he gets to go into his macro exactly how he wants with the eBay and the Academy before the barracks explosion. And look at this. Like, he's in very excellent shape.
As you can see now, the Spire is almost done. So he went for 3 hatchling Muta. mixing it up a little bit from what we saw in the previous game.
Now, how is he going to decide to play these mutas? Like, you can go pretty harass-heavy on muta, but I just wonder if he's going to try to transition into lurkers.
Oh, I think he will for sure. I think
what you normally always do, but it's so standard that after the opening we had and how good Last is in comparison to Larva, I would expect that that is, like, playing into Last's hands.
You know, here's the thing is generally if you're going to go 3-hatch muta in a ZBT, you kind of have to get the and I don't know if there's really another tech option that you have. Well, you could try to blindside him with just a lot of lings and mutas.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. Like, if you have a lot of lings and mutas and you're threatening counterattacks, sometimes you can catch an army out in the middle. And if you can catch one army out in the middle, that's where it becomes a little bit more playable as Zerg. And let's not forget that you can try to do something like rush into Guardians. It looks like he won't be doing anything like that, just going up the normal tech route. But here, like, look at that. It was a perfect scan. He saw the mutas. He saw the Hydralisk Den. Last has all the info.
Yeah. Now, Last is still going to move out on the map. I'm a little bit worried about this army here in the middle. If these lings and mutas can collide with it. He does have +1 range attack, which is pretty handy. He's got to be careful. These mutas might fly in right into these Marines.
Okay, good turnaround there by Larva. Very much on top of things, and he has a lot of units on the map. So Last wants to join these two armies really badly right now. If everything comes together, Larva might be able to take this out, but no. Oh, my God.
Wow, that targeting was actually really good.
Yeah.
There are no more lings now with that army. The other army is rotating around here to avoid the mutas from intercepting them. We do not see Larva with a third base, by the way, or at least no third hatchery making somewhere.
Nothing yet. Last continuing to tech up. He has that hidden drone, of course. Army's going in two different directions. He picked off enough lings there. It looks like he's actually confident in splitting his army. So, maybe Larva can capitalize because of that, but Last is really on top of these movements.
Basically, Last has to probe the map at this point in time. And has to try to find out where that third hatchery is. Now, there's a hidden drone, as Artosis said, in the upper left. There's also a drone, I believe it's moving towards the bottom right main. You usually want to take a location that's very obscure for Terran to try to attack into. And the two Hydras are an indicator that he probably wants to take another main so he can put two lurkers on a ramp while he rushes to that Defiler tech. But Last is basically just powering up. And frankly, this third base here from Larva is very late at this point in time.
It is really late, and that is going to be a problem, no doubt about it. But if he can set those lurkers up, hold that ramp, the map is big enough that it gives him a chance to possibly get into Defilers.
Okay, now we have the two lurkers coming up here at the ramp. Now this drone, oh
my God.
Well, I mean, with the drone not able to get up there, I mean, it doesn't matter if these lurkers can cover the ramp if they're not defending anything that's actually there.
Maybe I guess he can get Last to overcommit up the ramp or something like that, but a lot more bio is on the way. These mutas actually doing a very good job at picking a lot of this off.
Yeah, the lurkers should be done in a second here, and there they are. And so they go ahead and burrow. The problem is that there's no base up here, and in fact, he's going to try to send another drone around here. Now, I don't know if he scanned that main or not. He may just be assuming that there's a hatchery on the way, but this is starting to look very similar to Hyun's game. The hive has started, but the third hatchery hasn't. You need to get that up and running, and again, a lot of this just goes down to the fact that Last is really, really solid with everything that he's doing early on, so it's harder for these other players to progress.
Yeah, this is why I was a little bit afraid of Spire Tech into just a completely normal transition, right? Like, this is what Last plays against all day long, and, you know, I definitely want to show some respect for Larva trying to play this very straight-up normal macro style, but so far this is he's getting pretty wrecked, to be honest.
Now, I want to point out the beauty of this. He's actually shut down every single drone that's tried to become a hatchery. So it's the fact of the matter is Zerg can't actually get to the phase of the game that he wants to be in. And Larva knows that this is getting worse and worse and worse for him. Because if he doesn't have a third base, Terran just keeps powering up on two. I think we're having now the fourth drone that's been sent out on the map. He does try to come in here and dive on that science vessel. It's deflected. Marines coming now to try to catch the remaining mutas and lings as they try to swoop around.
That could not have really gone worse, and already there's a mech transition on the way from Last before Larva is even having a third base. Just now starting a third hatchery. This is really bad for Larva right now. He needs a lot of fortuitous things to happen right in a row.
Oh my God. See these vultures that keep getting sent out along with the pairs of Marines? Hold up. Another big attack over here. It looks like Zerg might be able to take out a chunk of the Terran's army, but not before the rest of the reinforcements get there. Now he has 1/1, so he has the armor upgrade as well here. The first Defiler that Artosis and I have seen is out in this game.
Yeah, but this base isn't up, which means that there's no Nidus to get a Defiler up there, to get Lurkers up there, and this base 100% is going to end up falling.
Yeah, I mean, this game, I don't want to say this game's over, but it's going to be nearly impossible for the Zerg to come back. You can't have Terran, who's now going to have way more bases than you. You don't have enough Lurkers and Mutas and Defilers to combat really anything that Terran has. You might be able to hold a small outpost, but in this case, not in a position on the map that's particularly relevant. My God, look, Lass is just playing perfectly.
Yeah, this is ludicrously good play that he's showing. Also, expanding twice while switching into mech. There's already mines all over the map. Look at this. Like, there's a Defiler and like 3 Lurkers and a Zergling in the middle. This is not what... And it's not that Larva is bad or even necessarily doing things wrong. It's that Last is too good.
Yeah, as you can see, the Dark Swarm makes it impossible for the Terran to fully engage that. However, he has enough Science Vessels out, and will continue to have enough Science Vessels out, that he can irradiate every single Lurker. And even if Terran can survive in a certain position on the map for a certain amount of time, in the long run, it is not going to pay off, as Terran is going to continuously press these locations to try to keep Zerg basically starving to death.
It's just moving all around. Look at this. He's actually doing a huge surround in the middle of the map. Oh, looks like a Dark Swarm will push that off, but the spread of units here, the fact that he has this many bases, his transition is live. Larva's trying to take 2 bases. So if he can hold that right-hand side of the map, actually secure both of those bases, get some drones there. I mean, this is a tall order, right? Like,
yeah, this is...
I'm like, Tasteless, get out your notepad and your pencil to take this down, because this is what he needs to do to win, and it's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if he could somehow get these bases over here at the bottom right up and defend everything, I think the Terran is actually going to try to push in 2 different locations at once. Okay, so denies the Scourge from intercepting those Science Vessels.
And Scourge still flying around, trying to catch him. Ooh, hey, that's nice. That's a start. Like, if you get rid of all the Science Vessels, your Defilers have a lot longer shelf life.
Okay, he's getting Defilers up here. I believe there should be a Nidus. Yeah, there it is. Nidus Canal's coming up. If the Nidus Canal could come up, there's a chance for Zerg to hang on. But the question is, like, how far behind is he, and is he going to be able to outmaneuver someone like Last? Now, in this case, he's actually just going to go ahead and irradiate the Lurkers themselves, since there's actually, I think in this game, more Defilers right now than Lurkers currently.
Yeah, you're probably right. Oh, a very nice Plague goes down, so that's good, but a dropship already going towards this main base. So the main base possibly could go down. A decent amount of units popping out of this Nidus from Larva, so he might pull some defense here as well.
It should be noted that Larva is like doing a really incredible job, considering how brutal this game has been overall for him from start to finish. Now he just comes in here with these Vultures. Now, during this mech switch, you can just make a bunch of Vultures, and it's kind of tough for the Zerg to really deal with, because they don't have a lot of Lings. And, of course, the Spider Mine's going to end up connecting, with the Lurkers. So even though he's got these bases up, he's still not really mining from it yet. Terran actually is completely in control of the map. If you were to look at this map initially, you'd probably think that the purple player was a Zerg.
Yeah, right. If you took the creep off the map. In fact, creep is purple, so like he looks even more like the Zerg. But yeah, like all of Last's moves here are showing why he is one of the greatest players in the world right now at Brood War. Even those Vultures running in, like that's a good move. These Vultures are so expendable. Like, it doesn't matter if these die. As long as he's putting out some sort of damage with this many bases, he's good.
Okay, he gets the Nidus down. Now it's just the remaining units that are over here to help defend. One Defiler goes down. A few Mutalisks are the only thing that's left here to help defend, along with this one Lurker that's now going underneath the Dark Swarm. While the game continues on, where the upper left is now being acquired by Last.
Last is just taking all the bases. He's just so damn good. It's like how hard it is to move these units around like this, macro, and expand all these bases while keeping them alive. Like, Larva tried to harass him, but there's units at every base.
Yeah, it's what's incredible about it is how his army is flowing around the map. And you know, you could always say, oh, that's really smart, he's really good. To mechanically pull that off while macroing perfectly and controlling the map this well is truly a remarkable feat.
Yeah, his play is stupid good right now. Like, I'm just so unfathomably impressed. Look at this. He's making command centers everywhere. he's macroing very well. He has so many units. He has complete control. Look at how much purple is here. Zerg can't even walk anywhere. He has to use Niduses to get around, and everything's getting irradiated and picked off by vultures.
It really is a testament, though, to Larva as well, as how much he's been hanging on here.
Yeah.
He hasn't really been able to mine from this base down here in the bottom right. I think this is actually the killing blow now, as we have more drones and lurkers coming through. And he's going to get that Dark Swarm down. Okay, he gets one Dark Swarm up. It doesn't matter. GG last, our first survivor in tonight's ASL.
Wow, even building a command center there at the end. Adding insult to injury. Well, last wins, and it is just super one-sided.
Yeah, you can see Larva certainly tilted by that last game. Most of that game can be summed up by the really good control by Last early on to slow down Larva from getting a third base. You can see that Zerg can actually hang on for a while when he's just when you've got a Nidus up, when you've got a Defiler and even one Lurker over there. But that third base came up so late for Larva, there was nothing he could do. All right, guys, we're going to get this interview